My guest today is Dr. Kimberly S. Clay, otherwise known as Dr. Kim. She is busy raising consciousness about the importance of a healthy lifestyle, mind, body, and spirit. Dr. Kim's extraordinary journey from the rural Mississippi Delta to a national platform for women's and girls' health began with her own lifelong struggle to control her weight and overcome depression. An experienced health educator and behavioral scientist, Dr. Kim earned dual master's degrees in public health and social work from Tulane University and her doctorate at University of Alabama at Birmingham, one of my favorite cities. She made her early career in public health at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and was a cancer researcher and professor at the University of Georgia. Now, as founder of the nonprofit organization Play Like a Girl, Dr. Kim provokes women and girls alike to think about their lives in a new way. Play Like a Girl offers cross-cutting programs and community-wide events that encourage positive body image and self-esteem, healthy eating behaviors, and regular physical activity, particularly for girls at high risk for obesity. Innovative programs such as Eat, Move, Play, an after-school program designed especially for girls, and Sugar and Spice, a group mentoring program for girls in middle and high school, help teach healthy eating habits and better lifestyle choices for girls. The organization is based outside of Dallas, Texas, but serves a national audience. Welcome, Dr. Kim.
Thank you, Stacie. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Your message is right in line with what I preach. I'm so enthusiastic about empowering women and girls to live authentic and healthy lives. So I am thrilled to have you here. Thank you.
Awesome. I'm excited to really share and expand the conversation. You know, part of our focus is in raising consciousness, as you mentioned in the bio, but also spreading the word to the extent that individuals really latch hold to it and own it as their own rally cry, that women in their homes and their communities can be change agents, because we know that if you give information to a woman, you can change the world, because we are the ones who make the decisions in many of our households, on the job, and even beyond in the community. So that's really our goal, is that Play Like a Girl becomes a rally cry for every woman and girl.
Okay, so that's the goal. So what's the methodology by which you're spreading this message? How can people learn about it? And how does it work? How does the program actually work in local communities?
Yeah. So you mentioned two of our core programs, Eat, Move, Play, and Sugar and Spice. Eat, Move, Play is our elementary school program. Okay. It's actually the first program that we offer to girls along the life trajectory. And we offer that program with a very specific focus on eating, moving, and playing. We want to get girls educated about the food plate, the new My Plate, which replaced the old-fashioned food pyramid that most of us grew up with. We want to teach them how to make healthy choices on the plate. We also work specifically with ethnic foods, because we serve a large population of Latina girls in Texas as well. We engage them on a regular basis in movement. And this year, movement really takes on a variety of different looks and feels, everything from Zumba to yoga to old-fashioned hula hooping.
I do that!
So as a physical activity, as actual aerobic exercise?
Yes, I do. I'm a huge enthusiast. I know some tricks, too.
So we engage girls in every level of movement you can imagine. And then on the play end, we're actually introducing sports instruction.
Okay.
So our first sport this year is tennis. We're introducing girls to the sport of tennis. And so at the elementary level, it's important that we get the basic health information to the girls. So we're starting before those health decisions and health ideas, as well as behaviors and attitudes, really set in and hardwire, because we know once girls move into the early adolescent years, we think we know everything. We become quite what could I say, non-accepting of things that adults, and particularly our mothers, try to hand down to us. So we spend a lot of time in the elementary school years giving information, basic information through those three methodologies, but then reinforcing it from year to year as we go back to re-intervene with those girls. Then at the middle and high school level, we actually engage girls in our Sugar and Spice mentoring program, where we transition from a primary focus on healthy lifestyle choices around food and physical activity to actually engaging girls in the conversation about self-esteem as it relates to body image and weight. Because we recognize that at middle and high school, and we know from recent stories, children become cruel. Many children's bodies begin to develop at rapid rates. Many different schools of thought as to why that is. Foods that we consume being a contributing factor to that. So we recognize that those are really critical years for girls as they're developing their sense of self. So we move the conversation away from just food and physical activity. While we do engage girls in physical activity and we do continue to teach them according to the MyPlate dietary guidelines, we really start to work with them in one-on-one and group-based settings, really helping to have a more deep level conversation with them around self-image, how they see their bodies, what media images represent for them about themselves and other women, who they aspire to be like from a body perspective, how they would redefine women's image in media, and the like. And so with that, we actually engage our college age women to actually serve as mentors to our girls in middle and high school, because we see those young women as closer in age, but also not too far removed in age, such that they still have voice, they still have credibility that can be offered to the girls, and also a safe place for the girls to be able to confide in an individual if there's an issue as it relates to any of the issues that we address that is pertinent and specific to a girl that we serve.
I love it. I love it. Now, explain how this works. Does it work through schools or from community centers?
Yes,
Where
so
would a child?
We partner with a variety of organizations, mainly schools. We typically go into after-school programs, either as an after-school program or as an add-on to an existing after-school program.
Okay.
Over the recent years, we've been partnering with communities and schools of North Texas, which is a part of a larger body of community organizations across the U.S. that go in to add supplemental and enrichment activities and education to children who happen to also be on free and reduced lunch programs, who have limited or low income. Those children also represent the demographic that we're targeting, because those children, because of their socioeconomic status, are more likely or have a greater propensity towards overweight or obesity because of the lack of access to income.
I understand that, and it is a big problem. So let's say I'm a mother in an area where I would like to see this program and it has not reached us yet. What's the best way to recruit Play Like a Girl to come to my community and help my daughter and children in our neighborhoods?
So the first is definitely starting a conversation with me and our program manager, Dr. Maria Crockett. Through our website, any individual or organization can actually go directly on our homepage. There's an option that says register, and they can actually complete a form there that will generate an email to us, alert us to an interest, and then we actually schedule a telephone conversation to discuss the needs. From there, we actually have manualized curricula. So we can actually package the curriculum and provide it at cost to a community organization, a church, faith-based center, school, after-school program, any organization of interest to our programs. With some of our new programming, we recently received funding, as I mentioned earlier, to introduce tennis as an option for the Eat Move Play program. That funding came by way of Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith and his wife Pat Smith.
Wow.
In Cowboy Town of Dallas. And so we're now going back to augment that curriculum to not specifically tailor it to tennis, but to also kind of embellish it so that those receiving the curriculum understand that they can introduce a variety of different types of sports to engage girls in as well. But again, another perfect example of how an individual can take the actual packaged curriculum and apply it in their own given community. We work hard and diligent on making sure that our curricula are gender specific, they're ethnic and racially appropriate and relevant, because there are some things that are culturally sensitive that just aren't relevant to the population intended. We also work hard for health literacy effectiveness as well, making sure that the language that we use is easily interpreted and understood. So, for instance, when we use the My Plate guidelines for dietary instruction, for nutrition education, we also use the Spanish version of Mi Plato.
Oh.
We introduce native foods to Mexican Americans, in particular, because we have a large population of Mexican Americans. So again, there's a lot of work that we put into really customizing and tailoring the curriculum to the best of our ability to be able to replicate it across the country.
Fabulous. Now, you did mention funding, and I know that's an important part of any nonprofit.
Yes.
Where does your funding come from? I understand that Emmett Smith and his wife donated directly, but do you solicit corporate wise? Are you looking for individual donors? What's the best way to help support this mission?
Yes, we are definitely open and welcome individual as well as corporate sponsorship and donations. We rely heavily on public funds, grant funds through federal and state and local government. One of our huge supporters over the recent years, probably about 5 of our 9 years of existence, has been the U.S. Office of Women's Health. Really critical partner, because they also manage the U.S. Program around girls' health as well. So we continue our partnership with them, utilizing funding as it becomes available to continue programs that we have in place. But I think for us, we're beginning to move away from a complete and primary reliance on government funds, as most organizations are, because government is in dire straits at this moment. And so with the recent shutdown, we've seen it more often than not. We're beginning to really call on our donors, our individuals in the community who believe in our mission, who support the cause, really calling on those individuals to get behind us and support us with donations.
Okay, and drop in right now the contact information. We'll do it again later in the show, but
yes.
Let me know what's the website.
So our website address is iplag.org, which is short for I, Play Like a Girl. The email address, if anyone is interested in emailing us, is info@iplag.org. And we're all over social media, from Facebook to Twitter, and we'll be introducing some new video very soon on our YouTube page as well.
Great.
And we're actually using Instagram to keep people abreast of what we're doing with the girls, as well as events that we're hosting. We have an upcoming fundraiser on the note that you mentioned earlier, to raise funds to continue programs in 2014. So yes, people can find us many different ways, but definitely through our website is probably the best way possible, because emails can be generated from there.
Okay. And the fundraiser that's coming up is a gala, correct, in Dallas?
Yes, correct. And it's a masquerade themed party. We each year celebrate women who are making extraordinary differences in the lives of other women and girls. And this year we are so fortunate. We are actually recognizing 2 women this year, one of whom I have not had the fortunate opportunity to meet. So I'm really, really thrilled to meet her. And that is Coach Kim Mulkey, who is the head coach of the women's basketball team, the Lady Bears at Baylor University.
Wonderful.
Everyone knows her from her career as a basketball player in college, to an assistant coach, and now a head coach who has won championships at all levels, and has now led her teams in winning those same championships. And so I'm really thrilled to have the opportunity to stand in the same space with someone I watch on television and admire from the sideline. The second person we're recognizing is attorney Regina Montoya. Regina is, I think, the epitome of servitude, in that she has really dedicated her life to women's economic empowerment. She started out as a mere volunteer, just like the rest of us who want to give of our time, our treasure, our our hearts at Children's Medical Center of Dallas as a college student. And today she actually sits as Senior Vice President and Legal Counsel for that same organization and has served in a multitude of roles, in particular that as volunteer president of the National Office of Girls Incorporated. And
Yes.
we're just excited to be celebrating her. Our third award this year is actually going to our Volunteer of the Year, who is Dalma Alicia. Dalma is an executive at J.C. Penney, which is headquartered where we exist in Texas, which is Frisco, Texas. And Dalma has adopted the service project that girls in our mentoring program are engaged in throughout the year, which entails sewing pillowcases into pillowcase dresses that are then taken, hand delivered by myself and my family during the holiday season to girls in South Africa who live in very small communities within huge shanty towns who otherwise would not have school clothes the following school year. So she has brought together her colleagues in the fashion design department at J.C. Penney, and they have been sewing all year and will deliver to 3,500 girls this year, up from 1,300 girls that we served last year in South Africa. So I am so thrilled. She is such an awesome example of service, but in particular because she is a mother of a girl. She brought her daughter to the sewing event to sew with her and to participate in it for the benefit of our girls in our mentoring program, whom we teach as we engage them in the conversation about body image and self-esteem. We teach them about living their best life, living and reaching their best selves through service to others. And so for us to be able to celebrate Dalma in the presence of the girls who are served through our program, I think is a huge, huge feat for the girls to be able to see the impact that their small program is having in the lives of women all across the globe. So
And
I'm excited about that.
It's so impressive, Dr. Kim, that this was an idea in your head, and now you're impacting women and girls, all, like you said, all over the globe. 3,500 children in South Africa. And how many girls do you have in the program right now in Play Like a Girl?
In our program in Dallas, we actually have 350 girls who are actively enrolled in after-school programs.
Okay, but it's growing. It continues to grow.
Thank you.
Tell me, how did you get started? How did you start an organization of this scope? How do you start?
With a hope and a prayer. And that's where you start, and that's where you maintain. I actually started Play Like a Girl 9 years ago while I was still in my doctoral training in Alabama. And it actually started as a sister friend group for me under a totally different name. Our old name is Sister Bration.
Yes.
And I retained that name because I still want to continue some of the things that we've been doing, engaging adult women around health and lifestyle issues. But what we found over time was that we couldn't engage and keep engaged women who look like you and me, who work every day, who have personal and business responsibilities. Because why? We overtax ourselves, we overcommit ourselves. And Sister Bration and our programs were just one more thing on people's schedule to do. And so we happened to schedule one event called Girls Night Out for teenage girls. Moms were supposed to drop their girls off, 5 hours later, come back, pick them up. 5 hours later, moms were still sitting in the same room, shedding the same tears as their daughters. And I said, we're on to something.
Yeah.
However, it took us another 6 years to arrive at this recent rebranding under the new name Play Like a Girl, only because we were in evolution trying to figure out what were going to be the best portfolio of programs to offer our girls. I moved and relocated due to my career and that of my husband evolving as well. He happens to be a pediatric cardiologist.
Wow.
So as we trained and moved across the Southeast and then to the Southwest, I didn't want to relinquish the programs. I didn't want to give up on the nonprofit. So we kind of moved it and shuffled it around with us. And then ultimately, when we arrived in Texas, we found our groove because I finally got the faith to leave my academic career to do this full time, which opens, I think, a very grand door, a very huge opportunity for us to refine our programs and to really narrow our audience, hence our new brand, Play Like a Girl. And it's fresh. We've been around as Play Like a Girl for less than a year. And we've gotten so much more successful. We've been so much more successful in reaching our audience, in raising funds around the cause, because the name now truly reflects the programming that we deliver. And that was a huge, huge struggle for us with the name Sisterbration, which was really about creating this community of women who celebrated the positive in life, and not everybody understood it. And so I think we've arrived at a very happy place. And our tagline is very clear. We want to end childhood literacy for good. Our target population happens to be girls, but we want to end it for both boys and girls. But when we look at the numbers, that's something we haven't talked about. The statistics don't lie. In this country, 17% of all children suffer from overweight or obesity. But among girls, we're looking at numbers like 7.5 million.
Wow.
And at that 7.5 million, 5.5 million actually fit the clinical diagnosis for obesity. So again, not only are we having girls who struggle with weight, but girls who now are looking at struggling with their weight into adulthood, which increases their likelihoods for early onset of diabetes, heart disease, and even some forms of cancer, and ultimately death. Because what the numbers now say to us is that girls aged 10 years old today are expected to live 5 years less than their mothers. And we cannot allow that to happen.
No.
Whoever thought, in a nation that has every resource known to man, that a child could live a lifespan shorter than their parents? And so that is what we're trying to end. That is the message that we're trying to get out, because we want parents, moms in particular, and their girls to begin the same rally cry. We have taken an insult, "You play like a girl," out of gymnasiums and on fields all across the country, and we're actually turning it into the anthem for girls who want to make their bodies move again.
Beautiful.
And that's really the critical piece, because less than 5% of girls 12 to 19 get 60 minutes of physical activity a week.
60 minutes?
Less than 5%.
Wow. Well, this is a big deal, and I'm so excited to watch your program grow. You know, you have touched on this a couple of times, and so I'm just gonna do it. That, as you know, I created the What's Your Avocado concept that says that everyone has something about them that's special, and we call that unique element your avocado. The key is to find your avocado and act on it, and you certainly have. So, Dr. Kim, take me to the moment when you realized what you were here to do and how you were going to do it.
Well, as you say, it's a moment, and for me, it was a moment that culminated an evolution of things. It was several years and several steps to getting to that moment. And for me, the moment was last year, about March of 2012, during a live taping of the Oprah Life class in St. Louis.
Yes.
I was on a show with Oprah on the first row of the show, given the last question of the show, the only question for that particular taping. And I asked the question, honestly, not knowing where the question was going to lead. And ultimately, Oprah asked, "What do you want at that time for Sisterbration?" And I said to her, a national platform to do grassroots work through the organization whose mission is primarily to educate, empower, and enlighten women and girls to adopt and maintain healthy lifestyles. And so Iyanla Vanzant, who was on the stage and was leading as the expert for that show, said to me, "Until you tell the healing in your story, you will never be able to arrive at that place where you have the national platform, where you have the influence that you need to get accomplished what you need to accomplish through Sister Gration.
Yes.
It began the journey towards the name change and to play like a girl. But it was the moment for me, truly. Although 3 years prior, I'd left my academic job, making six figures, um, doing work that I love doing, but to do work that I felt I was called to do.
Yes.
It was 3 years later, at that moment, that I understood that this was my calling. This was the work that I was brought on earth, put on earth to do, and that it would be incomplete until I do it, and that there is no bad experience in life, there is no struggle in life, and it's life for me that has been my weight, that goes wasted. There is no struggle in life that goes wasted. And so knowing that, I then had a new perspective on the struggle I'd had with my weight all of my life, pretending as if it wasn't the elephant in the room, even though I struggled, being a health educator, married to a pediatric cardiologist, with the message that I was trying to send to the communities and the individuals that I serve. I had to relinquish that guilt and the struggle to truly embrace the calling. And I am, even just this week, having experienced and celebrated another birthday, I've come into new realizations about this work and what it means to do this work, and remain ever vigilant about it, with a zeal that I don't think really can be quenched or replaced with anything else. I am sold out to this mission because it was what I did not have when I was a child. And I know that had I had the information, my life and my struggle would be so much different. And so recognizing that, I want to make that the experience for every other girl that we introduce a program to in this country.
It's so powerful when the story is actually your story and it translates to others, because that's how we communicate. We communicate through story. If you give people statistics, it's powerful, but when you have an emotion behind it and it's yours, there's no way people can't identify with you and get on board and want to help, because you're authentic about what your mission is. This isn't just something that you decided to do on a whim. You really mean it. And it comes through, Dr. Kim.
Thank you.
It comes through. There are a lot of women out there who have a passion like you do, who maybe have a kernel of an idea of what they would like to bring out into the world, perhaps in a nonprofit organization. You live your passion. For those who would like to do so, what advice would you give to someone who wants to live their passion through advocacy?
The first one that I never hear anyone even come close to offering as a point of advice is debt management. It's the key. Because if I were in debt to anyone other than a car note or a mortgage or school loans that we all have to live with for 30 years, I wouldn't be able to truly, fully live my passion, honestly, because there is a burden financially associated with debt. And so when I left the job to fully live this work every day, we were debt free as a household, and we continue to be debt free. And that's an active decision. And so that is, for me, the reality is that when I was in debt to everyone in town and dreading to go to the mailbox, I was not able to come off the job to fully live in the calling that I have on my life and to do the work that I was meant to do. So for me, that's a very important point of advice for anyone, is that being indebted to everyone else burdens you down to the point that you can't do what it is that you need to do for you and for the people that you've been called to do it for.
Good advice.
The second thing for me is to find the courage to just do it. I don't know, honestly, where you get that thing called mustard seed faith. But I believe that we each have it. And I believe that we have to tap into it at some point in our lives. Some people tap in to fight breast cancer. Some people tap in to make the difficult decision to leave a rocky marriage. Some people tap in to make a decision at 40 years old to go back to school. So, whatever your passion is, it's finding that very small amount of faith, that very small amount of courage, that against the odds, against what other people say you should do. And trust me, I've had it from my mother to my family members to friends who've said, "Are you crazy leaving a great government job as, a University of Georgia faculty member to do this thing full time with no income?" And 3 years later, I can tell you, I've not received compensation, but I've never missed a check. I've never missed a check. Every smile I see, every girl who reports a behavior change from eating no vegetables or fruits during the week to eating the minimum recommendation of 3, that for me is my payday. And so for me, it is making sure that everybody else has been paid so that they're not looking for you, and
Yes.
then having the courage to make the decision for yourself to do what it is that you have passion to do.
And I think you make a very strong point, because so often we think that if we are going to live our passion, we have to make our income from that as well. And eventually, hopefully, the two do come together. But it doesn't negate the passion if the paycheck doesn't come right away.
Yes.
It's a really good
And
point.
for me, honestly, for me, Stacie, I think that I am more passionate because I don't get a paycheck. When I worked and received a paycheck, I often say I'm a very spiritual person, and there's a scripture passage that says that we should work as if we work unto Christ. And honestly, when I worked for an established system elsewhere, I worked as if I was working onto the paycheck.
Yes.
But when you do the work that you've been called to do, you work as if you're working to the higher calling, the higher being, the higher creation, because it's a direct connection from your heart to the hearts of people that you serve. And so again, as I said before, the return is so much greater.
Yes.
And so for me, I sleep less, I stress more, but it's the best time of my life. And to be 38 years old, living my reality, I'm quite blessed to be in this place, because I know people twice my age who are still unhappy, you know, going in and punching a clock and doing things that don't fulfill their lives and don't allow them to live on purpose, in passion about what it is that they do. So I'm very fortunate, and I am very thankful for the opportunity that I have. So money can't compare. It's the fullness of life. I'm finally, I think, arriving at the best Kimberly. And this is a large part of that pursuit for me.
Dr. Kim, I am so grateful for you to share the story today, and I want to make sure that we give all the contact information again. It's www.iplag.org. I play like a girl. iplag.org. And you're also on Twitter at playlikeagirltm. We'll also post all of this contact information on the liveyourpassiontv.com website. Thank you so much, Dr. Kim, for joining us today.
Thank you. This was fun.
I had a wonderful time meeting you. And, well, I guess we will say goodbye to our audience. I'm Stacie Zinn Roberts, and this has been Live Your Passion. Let's do it again. I'm Stacie Zinn Roberts.
And I'm Kimberly Clay.
Thank you for joining us today on Live Your Passion TV. Bye.